You've seen it before. Someone who speaks in vivid detail about a high-stakes project or a total life transformation. They can visualize every milestone, and they genuinely believe they have the talent to reach them. Yet months turn into years, and they haven't made a single move. They maintain a complete certainty in their own potential. But while the vision remains sharp, their daily reality stays frozen. Society usually points to a character flaw here. We label this behavior as laziness, or assume they lack the work ethic and discipline to follow through. Psychology suggests a different reality. The brain is actually deploying sophisticated neurological defenses to protect its current state, effectively sabotaging conscious goals from the inside. To fix this, we have to stop viewing procrastination as a moral failure, and instead trace the internal life cycle of a dream to see exactly where the mind sets its traps. The first stage of a new goal is an illusion of achievement. When you passionately imagine your success, your brain genuinely struggles to tell the difference between the fantasy and the reality. This chart shows the chemical confusion. Visualizing a massive goal triggers a spike in dopamine, giving your brain the reward of progress beforehand. As this loop accelerates, you get addicted to your potential. The imagined dopamine meter stays full, while the actual progress path flatlines. Thinking about the dream feels exciting and effortless, but real work is repetitive, painfully slow, and often uncomfortable. By treating the thought of success as a victory, your brain removes the physical urgency required to actually start the grind. You confuse the act of thinking with the act of doing. Once the initial excitement fades, the ego takes over. Beneath the intense motivation hides a sharp fear of failure. People who dream big often fear what happens to their self-image if they give 100% and still fail. Keeping the plan strictly in the imagination protects that self-image, keeping the vision flawless and safe from real-world setbacks. This leads to obsessive over-planning. You might spend hours mapping every single outcome, believing that by analyzing every detail, you are being responsible and highly prepared. As the branches of your plan multiply, look at the effect on your cognitive battery. This constant analysis acts as a defense mechanism, draining your mental energy so you never face the risk of executing. You've exhausted your brain before the starting line. Then comes the rationalization of the perfect moment. You tell yourself you'll start as soon as you have more money, you have more time, or finally feel ready. Psychological research shows that the feeling of readiness only arrives after action is taken. Waiting for the right conditions simply means waiting forever, because those conditions don't exist in the real world. Finally, the brain hits the identity barrier. Taking action forces you to abandon your current self-image. Your mind resists any behavior that doesn't match your secret belief about who you are, someone who is undisciplined, or someone who never finishes what they start. Execution requires becoming a different person. This silhouette on the right is a version of you the brain doesn't recognize yet, and it views that identity change as a threat to its survival. By guarding an old identity and waiting for perfect conditions, the dream stays frozen as a permanent fantasy. Turning a plan into reality requires fighting through a gauntlet of neurological wiring, dopamine loops, and ego defenses. Those who move from dreaming to achieving don't have more talent or less mental friction. They face the same internal resistance and the same exhausted cognitive battery. Success comes from the ability to take physical action, specifically while the mind is trying to paralyze you. It is the practice of moving despite the lack of dopamine and despite the feeling of unreadiness. You cannot think your way out of these neurological traps. You can only bypass them by taking the first step before your brain has time to start its defensive planning. Recognizing these illusions is what allows you to ignore them. If this breakdown helped you see your own mind more clearly, subscribe now to keep decoding the mechanics of human behavior.